Kia ora koutou katoa. Welcome, colleagues. Can I just say what a pleasure it is to look into this room here in Christchurch and see all of you and think about this time a year ago when we were in Napier and we were 34 and now we are 49. And I look around this room and I see people who represent communities up and down the length of our country, who represent communities from across our country, who represent people from all sorts of walks of life, and it is a joy to have this renewed caucus. And I think back a year ago, we talked as a team about what New Zealand needed, the change that it needed to deliver for its people. And as I stand here today, we, the National Party, have helped deliver that change with the National-led government. So thank you. And you have all been instrumental in that. We've run an incredible campaign. We have incredible people. But the person I want to acknowledge today, and he won't do this, is the leader who made that possible. Prime Minister Chris Luxon brought together a team that was at a low ebb, and he instilled in us a culture of discipline, a culture of service, and a culture of being focused on the people that we are here to represent, speaking to them and their needs. And I think with that focus has done something historic, the biggest turnaround in an election result that we have seen. An incredible turnaround and a testament to someone who has absolute conviction about getting things done for the country. And I remember this time a year ago saying, New Zealand needs someone who will get things done. And we have had that proof. He has formed a government with the ACT Party and the New Zealand First Party, and we've had a 100-day plan of action that has been absolutely racing away, which is being progressed incredibly well. He delivered a historic election result, I think has put the party in fantastic heart and is showing that as Prime Minister he has the values, the capability and the competence to deliver for the people that we all pledged we would ensure New Zealand delivered better for. So it's my opportunity now to welcome you, my friend, my colleague, our Prime Minister, Chris Luxon.
Come on, grab a seat down. Sit down. Come on. Grab a seat. Back on track. Thank you, Tama. Hey, ka nui te mihi kia koutou. Can I just acknowledge the incredible Nicola Willis? How awesome is she as Minister of Finance? And she is right at the front end of this whole problem that we're going to sort out in this mess that we're going to sort out in this country. So, Nicola, thank you for your leadership and all your passion and all that you're already doing in a short period of time. Kia ora to all of you. As I said to you earlier this morning, welcome to Christchurch, my hometown. It is good to have you here. And most importantly, can I say welcome back to work. That's what we're here to do. And it's been wonderful just last night having a talk with many of you and your families and seeing that you've had a great break. You're well rested, but you're actually rearing to go. And that's exactly the message that we need to have. We are going to pick up where we were interrupted by Christmas, and we're going to get back to work and we're going to keep going. We're going to go hard in Parliament, and importantly, we're going to make sure we continue to deliver on that 100-day plan that we're going to execute and get done. We're going to confront the mess that the previous government has left us behind, and especially in the financial space and the economic space, which Nicola is all over. And we are looking ahead to actually deliver a set of deliverables that will help our vision of New Zealand take root and to come to pass. And most importantly, as Nicola alluded to, we are going to continue to stay focused on the things that matter to New Zealand and to New Zealanders. The public want us to know that we understand them and that we're going to act on their concerns, and we're going to do precisely that. So, but before we look forward, a bit like Nicola said, I wanted us to briefly return to our two-day caucus that we had in Napier almost a year ago to the day. And we were in Napier, and I stood in front of you and I said we came to Napier because it was a seat that we wanted to win. We steadily won Napier, we won Tuki neighbouring next door. We had some great candidates in Katie Nim and Catherine Wedd who did an exceptional job turning the Bay blue again. And I want to remind you, we didn't just win Napier, we actually won the right to lead New Zealand because across the whole of the country, people actually responded to us focusing on them and their everyday concerns. And if we stay in touch with Kiwis and those concerns and not forget about the voices of the commentators and the pundits as we've been doing, shut the noise out, stay focused on what we're here to do, which is to deliver for New Zealanders, I'm sure that we can go on and actually win the next election in 2026 as well, which will be really good, so we can get some proper long-term progress happening in this country. So I've got to tell you, we couldn't be more committed, we couldn't be more determined, we couldn't be more motivated to actually lead the government because we have the opportunity, as I've said to you many, many times before in caucus meetings, that very few people do, which is a chance to go change our country for the better and to get it back on track, as we've talked about. We not only have the responsibility, but we have the opportunity to make sure that our vision of New Zealand starts to take root. And that is a vision that is for a stable, a confident, an outward-looking, and a much more prosperous country in which every New Zealander understands their rights and responsibilities, every New Zealander feels included, and if they work hard, they can actually achieve their version of the Kiwi dream, whatever that may be. So we are going to be ruthlessly focused on outcomes, and we're going to continue to be focused on delivering results for all New Zealanders. And I just want to say thank you, and also to remind you of what you achieved in that first 4 weeks since we formed government till Christmas. And it was a hectic period, and we worked incredibly hard to make sure that we could get things done for New Zealanders and start to get things unblocked and moving in the right direction. So let me remind you of some of the things that we've already done. We've already worked on the jobs tax, which was going to impact you and every working New Zealander that you would have had to pay for, so that's gone. We actually withdrew the government from Let's Get Wellington Moving because it turned out Wellington wasn't moving, so that's been done. We narrowed the Reserve Bank legislation and mandate to focus on price stability and inflation because that's a core job that Nicola and all of us are going to deliver on. That's now done. We repealed the ute tax. That's gone. That's fantastic. We stopped the expensive Auckland Light Rail project. Well done, Simeon Brown. That's done. We repealed the so-called fair pay agreements. That's now completed, so that's fantastic. And we reintroduced 90-day trials, and that just makes it easier for all employers to hire more staff, and that's a good thing for New Zealand and good for our economy. We've begun work on the National Infrastructure Agency, so well done, Chris. That's being done and on the way. We repealed the Spatial Planning and Natural and Built Environment Act. That's done, completed, finished. We've improved the security of the health workforce, our frontline health workforce and emergency departments. And I want you, well done, well done. That is a classic case where for 6 years we talk about the abuse that our frontline workers and emergency departments are taking. We keep talking. We come to government, we have a cabinet meeting, we decide to put the resources in place, we get the people in place at Christmas time, and lo and behold, what's happened? We've had a halving of actually abuse and attacks on our frontline emergency staff. So really well done, Dr. Shane Reddy, excellent work. We've banned the use of cell phones so our teachers can teach and our kids will be able to learn this year. That's a pretty good thing. And Erica's gone off and appointed an expert group to redesign our primary school English and maths curricula so that actually our kids can get ahead and actually have the futures that they want. So that's been started. And we've also commissioned an independent review on Kāinga Ora's financial situation, their procurement, and also their asset management. So well done, Chris Bishop, on that. So just think about that. We had 2 weeks in Parliament, essentially. We had 4 weeks in government. We managed to deliver all of that. So we are now 53 days to go until March the 8th, and our 100-day plan is completed. So we've got to get back to work next week and get through the load as we go forward. And we had a great series of meetings this week with our Cabinet, actually going through and pushing forward and approving more actions to actually get more of that 100-day plan completed as quickly as possible. But at the end of it, each of those items in that 100-day plan are designed to do 3 essential things. The first is each item is part of a much bigger plan to get New Zealand back on track. Secondly, it shows to New Zealanders that we are a government that is going to keep its word. And importantly, we are also a government that can deliver. And I have to say, we are going to deliver. That is our focus. That is why we are here. That's why the people put us there. It's our job to make sure that we improve their daily lives. And so we're going to work together in partnership with businesses, with iwi organisations, with community organisations, to actually solve those big problems that we've got and to realise those opportunities that we have. And you saw it in some of the conversations that we had with Ngāi Tahu yesterday, a good 2-hour session with them yesterday, and again with Ngāi Tahu this morning here, that actually there are huge opportunities of partnership for us to be able to work together with businesses, with iwi organisations, with community organisations to get things done for the New Zealand people. But what is clear is that when you're doing a turnaround job, which is what we're here to do, you have to confront the brutal facts of your reality whether you like it or not. And we have been left a mess by the previous government. And I know many of you, particularly our ministers who have been taking briefings to midnight since we've come to power, are getting a grip on the situation. And I just wanted to give you a sense, a high-level sense of actually what's the reality that we're starting from. Because you've got to confront the facts of your reality so that you have a plan, a positive plan, and some hope that we can get ourselves to a better place, which I know we desperately can do so. So let's have a look at it a little bit, and Nicola will pick up in the next session a little bit more about where we are economically. But if you just take our fiscals, and this is some startling sort of stuff that I want you to sort of understand, is that since when National was last in office in 2017, government spending has actually increased up 80%, up $64 billion. So just think about that. That's $30,000 extra per every household in this country. And it's made domestic inflation a lot worse than it would otherwise have been. Think about it, we've talked a lot about it. The public service has grown by almost, I think, a third in just 6 years. It's gone from just under 49,000 people to 65,000 people today. And then, startlingly and most worryingly, our debt has gone from something like $5 billion to almost $100 billion. And think about the interest bill on that debt. That means that that's money that we can't spend on health and housing and education and infrastructure that we desperately want to do. So I have to say to you, we have spent a lot of money. The previous government has taxed people a lot, it's borrowed a lot, and we actually have absolutely nothing to show for it. And so we have to confront that reality in our fiscal position as we go forward. The second thing is education. I know Erica's been really passionate about it. She's done a great job highlighting the challenges that we face in education as well. But alarmingly, only half of our Year 10 students now can pass the basic numeracy and literacy test that the OECD says that they need to actually be able to have a good life going forward with. And when National left office, we had, I think, 81% of school leavers obtaining NCA Level 2. Now those figures have fallen to 75%. And it's actually worse for Māori school leavers when you look at that data as well. And it's not just the NCA, it's also the PISA scores, which compare our education performance to other countries. And it showed that in reading and science, Kiwi kids today are an entire school year behind in reading and science than what Kiwi students were in the year 2000. Just think about that. Kiwi students today are have 1 year's less knowledge in reading and science than their forebears did in the year 2000. And when it comes to maths, it's a year and a half. So we have some serious work, A, to get our kids back to school, to start the school year, and B, to make sure we teach them the basics well, which is why we're making sure they're going to learn an hour of maths, reading and writing as they go through primary school and intermediate school. But they're quite staggering. We get used to just saying these stats, but the stats are the starting point for what we need to do in terms of actions to change that situation. Because we can't have that situation. There's a scenario where our kids are not set up for success, and New Zealand is not set up for success. So we need to get kids into school, we need to teach them the basics well, and we need to improve our performance so they can access higher paying jobs, and New Zealand's going to be well served in the generations to come. It's not just education, we've actually got to think about healthcare, and Shane's got a really complex portfolio and has already made a good start of actually getting his head around what's needed there. But if you just think about it, if your doctor says to you today that you needed a specialist, if you just look at the last year, from September 2022 to September 2023, the wait list to see a specialist went from 36,000 people waiting to 60,000 people waiting. That's a 67% increase in people waiting to see a specialist in less than a year. So we have some really complex issues to deal with in healthcare to make sure it's going to deliver for people as we go forward. And I could go through, as I did through the campaign, and we've talked a lot about it as a caucus over the last 2 years, where what's the reality of our economy, what's the reality of our health, our education, our infrastructure, our dependency, law and order, the environment, and it's a similar story. There's nothing that has been achieved. Things have gone backwards. And so we start at that starting point, saying that's our reality. And I have to tell you, it's now our job, and that's what we've inherited, and we have, it's our job now to face up to that reality, to give Kiwis hope, to lead New Zealand to a much better place, a more prosperous place, a more positive place, actually with a very good plan. And so I want us single-mindedly focused on that objective so that we can deliver a very urgent turnaround that's actually going to make a difference to the people of New Zealand and their daily lives. And that means that's what we're determined to do, and that's actually why I keep saying to you, New Zealand is under new management, because that's what we're here to do, that's what we're focused to deliver, that's what we are going to deliver. We were elected because, just like us, New Zealanders could see that this country was going in the wrong direction. And when people can't afford their groceries, and when so many are actually working second or even third jobs just to save money to keep their home above their heads, they didn't want a government distracted on some pet ideological projects or some ideological debates. They want us really focused on the things that will matter and make the most to them. And they have trusted us to get it right. It won't be easy, it will be difficult, and there will be tough times ahead for us as we get that turnaround in place. But we are going to be relentlessly focused on getting things done for the New Zealand people. And that means when we get our country back on track, as we keep saying, we're going to stay focused on our mantra. And that is, we're going to rebuild this economy. We have to deal with inflation, lower the cost of living, and importantly, grow this economy again. We have to restore law and order and make sure personal responsibility is at the heart of our social contract with each other. And thirdly, we need to make sure that we're actually going to invest and deliver better public services, particularly in education and healthcare, so that we can support people who are doing it really tough. And if anyone asks us questions in 3 years' time about what do we hope to have achieved as a coalition government, I want them to say it's a government that actually delivered, said what it would do, and went off and did it, and New Zealanders are much better off because of it. Now, I'll just say in closing, as I sort of think about it, the roles for all of you in the room, getting elected is never an end in itself. The reason we come to public service, the reason we come to public life, the reason we go through election campaigns is not just to get elected. It's actually to come to government to go do something. That's why we're here. That's why we've given up other careers or other things to do, because we believe in making sure we can make the lives of our fellow New Zealanders much better. So it is a big opportunity, and in those 4 weeks before Christmas, you showed what's quite possible when we are very focused, not distracted, on what actually matters the most. So I do think it's an incredible honour to be in the positions that we're in. Very few people, as I've kept saying to you over the last wee while, actually have this opportunity to be able to lead their people and their fellow citizens to a much better place. So I really want you to be focused on 3 things as local MPs. The first thing I'm asking for each of you is that I want you to be very focused on your electorate. I want you to be focused on the needs of your people. Build those relationships across the local government, build those relationships across iwi, build them across the different community groups and the different businesses that are in your electorate. Have presence and be very present in your electorate. Take the time to explain the problems and the reality that we're facing, and then most importantly, take the time to explain how we're going to resolve that, how we're going to solve those problems, and actually what our policies are, so that people know what to expect from us. We need to take New Zealand with us, and you've got a big job in your electorates to make sure that people in your area understand what's going on. Secondly, do the work in Parliament. We've got lots of new MPs and we've talked a lot about it in recent caucus meetings, but make sure you become good parliamentarians. Learn the House, learn Parliament, make diligent contributions in your select committees. Be a great parliamentarian that actually is determined to improve the quality of legislation that's going through that place so that it can have a big difference out there. And the third thing, we've made immense progress over the last 2 years because we've built a high-performance team. And as I've said from day one, politics is not an individual sport. Politics is a team sport. We all play positions on our team, and we want to have the best people in those positions on that team. And there's things that we all each can and can't do, but we support each other and we go up and down as a team. So we're going to stay very consistent as we have been in the last 2 years as a caucus. That means we continue our mantra of making sure we stay calm and consistent, we stay even, we don't get too high when things are going well, and we don't get too low when we get some setbacks along the way. We make sure we control the outside noise, take it out, control it, and make sure we trust the plan, stay connected to each other, support each other, and make sure that we are playing our roles on our team and our positions on our team to the very best of our ability. So I'll just say in closing, our focus, as you have expected me to hear, and I've said it so many times to all of us, is to stay focused on New Zealanders and their interests. We are going to be a government, as I said on election night, for all New Zealanders. That looks out for our fellow Kiwis, that is compassionate, that actually upholds the rights of all of us, and also reminds people of the responsibilities they have to each other and also to our great country. We are going to encourage business because we think that that will grow incomes and create opportunities for people in the years ahead. We are going to work hard to meet our environmental and climate change commitments, and there's a lot of work for us to do in that space. And we're going to put in place the changes that will actually help improve people's own lives and the lives of their families and the livelihoods of their families and the opportunities that they have as a function of our government. So I just remind you, that's why we're here. That's why we came to this place. That's why we come together as this team. That's what we're trying to achieve as a government. It's a big task, but more importantly, it's a huge privilege to be able to do this job for all of us. So let's make sure we make our time in government really count. As I said, the turnaround's going to be difficult, and there will be setbacks along the way. And New Zealand has certainly some very significant challenges in front of it, and there is instability in other parts of the world that will be felt here too. But we're going to stay focused on that goal of a better New Zealand, and that's enough of an incentive to make sure, I think, that we keep the National Party on task with delivering for Kiwis. So the message is simple: the holidays are over. We've got a huge year ahead of us. It's unfolding, and every day is another opportunity to improve the country, so get to work. We've got a good 2 days planned here. We've had a great start last night, good series of sessions this morning. We've got some great ones this afternoon, and then we'll spend tomorrow talking a little bit more about how we work together as a team. But can I say on behalf of myself and Nicola and the National Party, again, thank you for stepping up. Thank you for having the courage to step into public service. It's valuable, but we have a responsibility. Let's go to work and let's go get this thing done. Thank you, guys.